folks, and welcome to your outlet for outdoors and Western lifestyle news, The Ben Show. I am your host, Rebecca Wanner, a.k.a. Beck. And as always, we love hearing from you all, your comments, your stories, your ideas. Get a hold of us anytime. Call or text 305-900-2363. Again, that's 305-900-2363. Or you can always email bendradioshow@gmail.com. Riding along shotgun, as always, my producer, sound engineer, and co-host, Jeff Tigger Erhardt. Now, we are all going into some bitter cold January temperatures.
Stupid.
Well, okay, not everybody in the country, but where we are at, there's a good chunk of us that are going to be, how do I put this?
Below the donut.
Bitterly cold. That's right. So here's your little heads up and reminder. You always make sure that we have this, and that is our winter survival kit in the vehicle.
Which reminds me, I need to go through that just to double check to make sure that I got everything in there. I'm sure that we do, but just to double check and maybe put some fresh batteries in the flashlights and make sure we have some waters and maybe a candle or two in there.
And here's another thing that, especially with these bitter cold temperatures, even though you might be saying, all right, it's not snowing, blowing snow, something like that, it's still really good to let somebody know where you are heading, just in case you end up with car troubles, vehicle troubles.
I do that with my folks all the time.
You're very good.
My folks are retired, but I've done that for years. I've just let them know kind of what my schedule was, where I'm going, and then I always just let them know when I return. Even just a quick text message, just to let them know. And they appreciate that, Mom and Dads do.
They do. They do appreciate that. And while you're looking at your winter survival kit, I know we're all so used to our smartphones. They become connected to us at our hip, right? That sometimes we rely on them too much. I'm going to put it that way. And say something happens, you are stuck, you're stranded, and you're in one of those desolate areas that does not get cell reception. Make sure you throw in your vehicle an atlas. I know some people are going,
I was just going to say that.
When's the last time you looked at an atlas? But you and I are in the midst of doing some traveling ourselves, and we're going to be driving down some roadways that we know has like a 2-hour dead zone. And so you were the other day, you made sure our vehicle had an updated atlas just in case with bitter cold temperatures that are out there right now that we have a map still if we are caught in that area.
Alternate routes, because we're going to be heading to Denver, and there's a lot of different routes that we can take. So depending upon what the weather does.
Exactly.
We may have to make a detour, and I don't know all the roads, getting that far away from home. I know there's many different ways that you can scoot around and get here and get there, and I don't want to rely on the phone to be able to tell me, take this route. And before you know it, I'm going down somebody's section line.
Well, there you go. We just made our moms proud there, Tigger, by letting everyone know, yes, let somebody know where you are and keep some of these safety provisions with you.
I got a quick question for you before you move on. I know you got a lot of stuff to cover. Did you, when you were in grade school, did you have in your geography class how to read a map? And you had to make the little scale, because all maps have that scale on them, right? And you had to draw that out, and you had to calculate how far you would go. Did you didn't do that? Obviously.
Yes, I did.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely did. I loved reading maps in school. And then on top of it, at home, my dad was one of those that loved to have, kind of like treasure hunts, if you want to call it. So he made it very, how do I say, we had to use some of our land maps of the ranch.
Oh, that's super cool.
Just to
you
really,
mean like the county atlas and stuff?
Yes, just to really teach us how to understand where the rivers were and what the different landscapes were like.
So what you're saying is you were all road scholars.
Not funny. Our first story takes us to Montana, where Montana State has sued Yellowstone over bison herd management. We're going to call this a battle for livestock protection.
And you're talking Yellowstone the park, not Yellowstone the movie?
Correct.
Gotcha.
The state of Montana has filed a lawsuit against the National Park Service over its 2024 bison management plan, which increases the allowed bison population in Yellowstone from 3,000 to 6,000. Governor Greg Gianforte and state officials argue that this plan puts Montana's livestock at risk for brucellosis, a disease spread by bison. The state claims Yellowstone National Park has failed to manage the herd since the 1960s and that expanding the population violates federal law. Yellowstone National Park, however, argues that the park can support a larger herd, citing new studies showing that elk, not bison, have been responsible for spreading brucellosis to cattle. National Park System also points out that the bison-human conflicts have decreased over time and that tribal and public hunting programs have helped manage the population. The state of Montana contends that the federal government's actions burden its farmers and ranchers. They accuse Yellowstone National Park of failing to engage with the state during planning. The lawsuit adds to a long-standing conflict over bison management in the region, with Montana demanding more control to protect local agriculture and wildlife.
Now, brucellosis, by the way, it can infect many different animals. Like you said, bison, cattle, livestock, sheep, goats, pigs, dogs can all get brucellosis. And we actually need to visit with a veterinarian on this one, but it is very common in bison and where you're saying in those areas where bison can share a fence, like right up against somebody's livestock, where you've got the park and then you've got, John C. Smith Ranch right beside it. That's where those transmissions occur because it's transmitted through the air.
Ah, gotcha.
Just a little epidemiology there.
Well, regardless, it does sound like there needs to be a little bit more of a collaborative effort being done with the park system, especially when you're dealing with other folks' livelihood. We'll leave it at that. All right, now we head to Colorado, where their big game draw system has some big changes you're going to want to know about. Colorado Parks and Wildlife is overhauling its big game draw system to address long-standing issues. Starting in 2028, CPW will replace the hybrid draw with a split draw system, dividing tags evenly between two pools, one for preference points and another for bonus draw, which operates like a raffle. This change makes it easier for hunters with fewer or no points to get a tag, but frustrates those with decades of accumulated points. Resident hunters will still get priority, with 75% of licenses reserved for them, while non-residents receive the remaining 25%. The overhaul also introduces a once-in-a-lifetime harvest rule for premier species like bull moose and bighorn sheep, alongside increased fees and mandatory waiting periods for certain tags. Critics argue that the changes devalue preference points and fail to adequately address concerns about non-resident quotas. Despite the backlash, Colorado Parks and Wildlife says that updates aim to simplify the system and make hunting opportunities more accessible. Key policies such as random draws for desert bighorn sheep remain unchanged. The new rules will be revisited every 10 years, allowing room for future adjustments. We'll have the full details on the Ben Show website. Again, the Ben Show website is thebendshow.com.
We have friends in Montrose, Colorado, and they have asked us many times come out and visit and hunt elk. And personally, when you say 75% of the tags are for resident and then the other 25 for non-resident, I think it should be higher for residents, personally. If that's the state that you live in, I think those people that live there and help pay for that and the management and all that, I think there should be more tags for residents of their home states, personally.
Well, they are
Even though we're planning to go out to Montrose elk hunting eventually.
They are getting 75% of the tags, and I would have to do some double checking into this, and I know that there is a lot of dollars brought into the state by non-resident hunters.
That's true. I can appreciate that. I'm just saying, comparing it to like our situation in our state, I think that there should be more resident tags offered than just that 75%. That's just my opinion. I think there should be more for those people that are helping pay for it.
What I do know, though, is all of us that are wanting to go hunt big game in Colorado, the rules have changed. So make sure as you are looking down the road and doing your planning for your hunts that you're aware of what the latest rules will be. And this is a good reminder to check all the other states, too, that have some excellent big game hunting. We're going to take a short break, crew. When we come back, we've got more of The Ben Show. This is Beck. First, I appreciate all of you for listening and making The Bend part of your week. Many of you have asked, how do I catch past episodes? The answer is super easy. head to thebendshow.com and click on the shows tab. There you can listen to every episode all the way back to episode 1. Podcasters, head to your favorite podcasting app and search The Bend. You'll find us. Be sure to follow and subscribe and never miss another episode again.
Is there that particular pair of boots or that shirt or pair of jeans that you just can't find anywhere else? Check out Medora Boot and Western Wear. Medora Boot and Western Wear is the go-to for boots, jeans, especially jackets, and even those hard-to-find accessories that make perfect gifts. Check out MedoraBoot.com, or better yet, give Kim a call at 701-623-1005 and tell Kim that Tigger and Beck sent you. For the latest in Western and outdoor practical and fashionable wear, there is only one, Medora Boot and Western Wear.
You've waited, dreamt of a hunting adventure, and now have harvested that trophy of a lifetime. Keep the memory alive with a custom-designed mount, preserved as a work of art. Check out our approved taxidermist depending on your location. The award-winning Schneider Taxidermy is located in Helena, Montana. When hunting the Dakotas, JB's Wildlife Designs in Mandan, North Dakota, then Shadron Creek Taxidermy in Nebraska, and for the Central USA, Little Rack Taxidermy in Macomb, Illinois. Reach out to The Ben Show and let us help you find the right taxidermist. Welcome back to your outlet for outdoors and Western lifestyle, The Ben Show. I am your host, Rebecca Wanner, a.k.a. Beck, and Ride Like Shotgun, my co-host, Jeff Tigger Erhardt. Now, for those of you that plan to hit the skies this summer or anytime soon, you're going to want to listen up closely, because starting May 7th of 2025, again, that's May 7th, 2025, travelers must present a Real ID compliant driver's license to board domestic flights or enter certain federal facilities such as a federal courthouse. The Real ID Act, passed back in 2005 following 9/11, sets security standards for state-issued IDs, but faced years of delays thanks to things like COVID. The Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, is urging travelers to check their IDs now to avoid disruptions like missed flights. Passports and other approved forms of ID will still be accepted for travel if you don't have that Real ID. To ensure you're ready, though, visit your state's DMV website for details on obtaining a Real ID. Experts warn last-minute delays could lead to headaches for travelers as the deadline approaches, so stay ahead of that curve, all right? Check your ID. And in case you didn't know this, for example, when Tigger and I went to get our Real IDs, you had to have a few items with you in order to do so. And that's why they're wanting you to plan ahead and double check your local DMV's requirements. For example, in our state, we had to provide our birth certificate. There was other forms that could actually work as well, especially if you were somebody that has migrated to our state, but you cannot have photocopies. You had to have an actual birth certificate. Another one is, say your name is different than what your name was on that identifying document, your birth certificate. You would need a certified, for example, government-issued marriage certificate, just as an example there. Or if you were adopted, you need a certified adoption document. Another one we saw at our local DMV was that we had to have proof of social security number. If you didn't have your social security card, you can bring in, say, a W-2.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's social security card. I mean, that thing got annihilated because we got it when we were like 8.
I know. We ended up taking in our taxes to show that
is
our
that
social
what,
security
is that what we
matched.
had to do?
Yes.
And you're talking the Real ID. That's, at least on my driver's license, this little gold star right here in the corner?
Yes.
Is that what that means? Is that?
So I'm good to go. On our driver's license.
On our driver's license.
Every state is different.
Of what they have to prove that. Okay.
And then be prepared to come with documents that show what your address is of the state that you are living in. For example, it could be a current mortgage or rental document. It could be an insurance policy, a utility bill. So what I'm getting at is there are actually multiple proofs of identity that you need to be prepared to bring with you to the DMV when you get your new Real ID.
But I would assume you just go to your state's DMV webpage, and I would imagine that they probably will have a list of here's the required documents. And if you don't have that or the birth certificate, here's something in lieu of it.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because May 7th is not that far away. And secondly, Tigger and I thought we knew what we were doing when we went to get our real IDs about a year ago.
Because we know everything.
Yeah, we didn't know everything, okay? I ended up
didn't.
coming home angry, finding all these documents.
It was kind of a train wreck because like birth certificates, a lot of people have those maybe in a safety deposit box or they're maybe in your safe or something like that. And, oh gosh, where the heck is it? Do I even have it? Do mom and dad have it? And then you try to hunt down that stuff.
Absolutely. So it's not a hard process, but it is if you don't have those documents easily accessible. And I'm going to tell you now, while you're looking at your driver's licenses, now's a great time to also grab out that passport and take a look at it to see how long you have until you have to renew it again. Because remember, they don't get renewed overnight. It takes a couple of months to send it in, unless you want to pay that expedite fee. You just got to be ahead of the game.
Long. I mean, I just got mine back. It maybe took 3 to 4 weeks, if that. It was longer to get back my birth certificate than it was to get the passport. That's what took the longest.
That's true. That's true.
It didn't take long at all for me to get my passport. But just remember that if you're planning on traveling anytime soon, that you might have to pay that expedited fee to get it.
Well, and I bring it up because I've mentioned earlier on other shows that I'm planning a trip to Alaska. However, I'm going to be going into Vancouver, so Canada, and double-checked, not just mine, but everybody that's traveling with us, that we had our updated passports.
Does your mom have her passport updated?
She does.
There you go, Lolo.
We are ahead of the game. We are ready to find our way to Alaska.
You got mom taken care of.
Now, while we're talking travel, I thought I would bring this up because if you follow me along on social media, at the Ben Show, by the way, that is my social media tag for Facebook and Instagram, you'll know that we tend to put quite a bit on our calendar throughout the year, but that involves us having to do some strategic planning. And this year is a year that we're finding ourselves in more highly visited areas or areas that may have limited hotel accommodations, flights, and I'll be honest, I'm having to book tickets and hotels much sooner than I usually do. I tend to wait till I'm right around that 30 to 45 days out. And for areas like Duluth, Minnesota, for
you're
example.
talking about my niece's wedding getting married in Duluth.
Yes, you have a wedding there. You have a nephew that's going to become a priest.
Yep, Jacob's getting ordained. Yep.
So we're looking at Duluth, and we're looking at during the summer months. And we were quite surprised at first, the price of hotels in those areas, but then secondly, how quickly things were booking up. And not just hotels, but actually also Airbnbs, VRBO. So just a heads up to really start looking and planning and putting those dates down solid if you know that you're going to be in those areas.
Well, you kind of got a burr under your saddle. It was last night. We received the wedding invitation for my niece that's getting married August. Is that right?
The end of August.
I should know that. She's my godchild. I don't even know.
The end of August.
The end of August. I was a little surprised that we already had this wedding invitation here in January, but she had a note in there saying, and this is why they're sending them out early, is to please book your rooms now. And you thought, I'm just going to check this out. And you went online and went, holy smokes, we need to get on this.
I ended up spending 3 hours online last night going through not just hotels, then starting to search the Airbnbs, the VRBOs, and I was shocked. The price wasn't what I thought I was going to be paying for Duluth, Minnesota. So that was an eye-opener. I'm excited. I've not been to Duluth.
I was going to ask if you've ever been to Duluth, Minnesota in all your travels. You've been just about everywhere, but Duluth, you've never been.
I've been on Lake Superior. I've been up to International Falls. I've been up through northern parts of Wisconsin, but I've never been to the actual city of Duluth. So I'm excited to check that out.
See what it's like. Okay.
But yeah, it just really opened my eyes. And like I said, as I'm preparing also to go to Vancouver and then spend some time in Anchorage, Alaska, those were two other destinations that has shocked me in how expensive it is for hotels. And then flights are very limited depending on where you live. Of course, if you live somewhere near a larger airport, it's going to be much easier for you. We do not. We have to fly into a bigger hub like Minneapolis or Denver or Chicago for most of ours. But it's a real eye-opener because I usually consider myself very travel savvy, and all of these different trips are causing me to do a lot more homework than I'm used to.
A little bit more anxiety. and the only trips I'm going on is to Megan's wedding.
Hey,
Because I have to.
We're en
'cause I'm a
route to
godfather.
Denver right now. What
Well,
are you
that's
talking
right.
about?
That's right. I mean, that's right. We're going to the National Western, but you're going to Alaska and all over the place.
Well, regardless, I'm not to ruffle feathers and get people anxious
They're
like
ruffled.
I am. Make sure you get that real ID. Make sure you've double checked your passport expiration date.
And book your hotels.
Start booking your hotels right now, or your airplane tickets, or at least be watching and monitoring, because we know that budgeting also has to come into play, and to save up the dollars to afford to go and visit some of these locations, you really need to think ahead. And I got to say, we talked about Yellowstone National Park in the first part of the show, but that there too is a destination that gets booked up very quickly. So there you have it. It's still January. You got plenty of time. Just start making those plans. All right, crew, we're going to take a short break. We come back. We've got more of The Ben Show.
You asked for it, you got it. Watch the Cowboy Channel anytime, anywhere with the Cowboy Channel Plus. Live stream the Cowboy Channel or watch your favorite PRCA rodeos on demand. Classic PRCA rodeos added weekly. Get the Cowboy Channel Plus for only $9.99 a month, or save 25% by signing up for a full year. Visit cowboychannelplus.com to sign up and start streaming today.
The hunt, the stories, the memories. This is Jake Fenrick with JB's Wildlife Designs. Let me capture and preserve that hunt, that story, that memory with a trophy mount to last you a lifetime. Look us up on Facebook at JB's Wildlife Designs to see samples of our taxidermy, and reach out at any time with any and all questions you may have. This is Jake Fenrick with JB's Wildlife Designs. Taxidermy is my passion. Let me preserve yours.
Hey guys and gals, this is John Arman with Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV. Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV travels the back roads to the backwaters in pursuit of the ultimate adventure in hunting and fishing. Join Team UOA every week for exciting action in the crosshairs of the outdoors. Catch Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV on YouTube, Amazon Prime, and make sure to follow Team UOA on Facebook and Instagram to share in the ultimate outdoor adventure.
Welcome back to your outlet for outdoors and Western lifestyle, The Ben Show. I'm your host, Rebecca Wanner, a.k.a. Beck. I've got a feel-good story for y'all. It takes us to Kansas. We head to Olathe, Kansas, that is, where a miniature pig named Odin has become a beloved visitor at the Good Samaritan Society in Olathe, Kansas. His owner, Brett Martin, introduced him, to boost morale at the retirement home.
Those little mini pigs are absolutely awesome. Those little teacup pigs.
Yeah, they cruise around.
They are absolutely awesome. I want one.
Well, as you can imagine, the pig's presence has been a hit with the residents and staff. They adore him, and it is actually kind of spurred about the residents visiting and reminiscing about their farm and ranch life.
Very, very, very cool. And pigs are highly trainable. They are extremely clean. That's what people don't know about pigs, is they are in fact, they're one of the cleanest animals. Did you know that?
I did know that,
Yeah,
actually, because I've looked up what it would take to actually own one of those miniature little pigs. Those little teacup pigs.
You got to put a deposit down.
I know.
If you want, I know if you kind of follow some of the top litters, I guess, the breeders of these little teacup pigs, you have to put a deposit down, and it's like a couple $100. And then that just gets you pick of the litter, literally.
As you can tell, we're getting extremely excited about these
little pigs.
teacup pigs. And now that we've said it enough for anybody whose phone is on listening mode, we're sorry, all of your
conspiracy theorists. Now that's the only thing you're going to see on Facebook is all these suggested posts about little teacup pigs.
Either that or their Instagram is going to be filled with videos of cute little pigs zooming around. But, this happens too at one of our local retirement facilities. I know that they have at least twice a year where local farmers and ranchers will bring in the different livestock, and it really does help bring up the morale of the residents and the staff.
Very therapeutic.
It is. There's something about being able to see a little creature, whether it's a teacup pig or it's a horse that's there that you can pet.
Maybe one of the kids' show steers or something is in the trailer or something like that.
Yes, a goat, a sheep. all of those tend to take us back in time and just make us smile regardless. So great idea. I hope some of you can do this locally for your residents.
So while you were wrapping that up, I had to jump online. I said I knew that a lot of these places take deposits. Well, on the little mini pigs, I just jumped on one website. It says, quote, "We are now accepting deposits on our upcoming end of April 2025 litter. To reserve your pig, we ask for a $275 deposit with the remaining balance of $550 due at the time that you go to pick it up."
Whoa, holy smokes. They run for a lot more than I thought. Maybe we should get into that business.
I think so.
We're going to call this show wrapped for this week, folks. Thank you again to my producer and co-host, Jeff Tigger Erhardt. And
You're welcome.
Folks, keep sending in your questions, anything you might have. If you know of something spot-worthy for us to share, as well as your area's field reports, that number again, call or text anytime, 305-900-2363. Again, 305-900-2363. Or you can always email bendradioshow@gmail.com. And if you missed part of the show or want to hear past episodes, you can find them all on our website, thebendshow.com. And be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app and to the Ben Show YouTube channel. Finally, a big thanks to everyone that came along this week. And whether you're coming or going today, stay with us as we ranch it up. And remember to keep up with me, Beck, all week long by following The Bend on Facebook and on Instagram at The Bend Show. This is Rebecca Wanner. Catch Beck if you can next week on The Bend.